What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Rex Righteous, and I'm back with another rap. Alright, so I like wrestling, man. You know that I have a history of talking about wrestling on this channel. So I wanted to break down the Chris Benoit documentary that was on Vice. Very, very intelligent, well done documentary. I can't speak highly enough for it. If you are a wrestling fan, you need to watch it. If you don't like Benoit, or you don't like the story of Benoit, or you've seen many versions of the documentary style for Chris Benoit, then maybe this might not be the one for you. And there's a lot of disclaimers in the beginning of it, so you're kind of like pushed out right away, and if you're not into it, then you're not into it. But this video is definitely dedicated to the folks that made the documentary, and man, I'm telling you, it was a damn good documentary. I'm watching another one now, and I'm like, wait a minute, did you guys like upload like 6 or 10 documentaries all at one time? Because I didn't see this put out there, but it's possible that I saw it and I forgot because I get too busy, and now we're in COVID world or whatever the hell, so it is what it is. So basically, this documentary was done really well. I said that already. Now I'm gonna say that there are some things in there that I did not know either. I thought I knew everything about Benoit, and there's gonna be spoilers in this one, but I'm gonna try to keep it as basic as possible as well. So I didn't know that him and Eddie were that tight. Like, I knew that they were close, but I guess for some reason I didn't remember or didn't connect the two when it came to their deaths, because I knew Eddie was a problem. I knew Eddie's death was more of a problem. I mean, you can kind of think about that same aspect for Chris, because it is a health problem. At the end of the day, it comes down to mental CTE, steroids, a lot of mental problems. Then you go to Eddie, it's a medical, and it's an accident, and it's a mistake, and it's a problem as well, because there was drugs involved, there was alcohol involved, all kinds of things. So I didn't connect the two. So then when I'm watching the documentary, I'm like, wow, this is a great way to start a premise on why you could see why Chris did what he did. Now, the angle is so crazy because, for me, these guys, they go through so much trauma, you know what I'm saying? Like, as a fan, as a boxing fan, as a sports fan, I don't watch football like that, but I have high respect for those guys because they're in and out of the league. That's the part that I'm not cool with that. I like careers that last a very long time, and in football there's not too many of those guys, and usually those guys have high standards, and they're praised highly, and they should be. But I just don't like football like that. Period. I don't like the sport like that. So, when I think of all this, I just think to myself, man, these guys have so many issues that they walk out with, and it sucks because that angle, it has to be used, and it's not like a cheat code or anything in the movie or something, but you kind of have to prepare yourself for it, because the thing is, some people just don't have the they don't have that compassion for a person like Benoit in all, in the whole story. When you break down everything, some people just don't like a character like Benoit, or they don't like the story, they don't like the thought of it, they can't go that far. they just look at it as a thing where it's like, he's a wrestler. I mean, you look at sports in general, like there's at least 5 sports there that is like, you know, there's a certain fan base. You can't just like mess around with these fan bases. This is a for real thing for us. It's patriotic, tribal. We believe it. It's in our heart. It's a part of us. We bleed this. Those are the phrases that we say. It comes to soccer. UFC, boxing, wrestling, football. Those sports, hockey as well. Oof, hockey. There's people that really love hockey. And there's other sports too that have that kind of tenacity and that passion and whatever. But those specific ones, there's a part of the world, that's how I feel. Like some people just won't look at you as like, they see you as like as a person that has. They look at you like a person that you don't care about humanity and society and whatnot. There are some folks like that. They really look at you like, you're cute. You really, that's fun. That's nice. I'm glad you enjoy that. Like they look down on you. And if you don't come in with that angle to that demographic, they're not gonna understand anything. So I felt like that documentary was as close as they could get to making it a mainstream type of thing, where if you saw the name and you saw the picture of Chris Benoit, it could hook you in. But they tell you that disclaimer in the beginning, like, yo, we don't want no soft, fake, if you're gonna be criticizing and tweet some garbage, and we don't no judgment here. We're gonna say our story, we're gonna tell you like it is, we're gonna let you in our lives, but don't come in here trying to tell us what to do. That's it. Now, when it comes to the Vince McMahon thing, like, Vince McMahon gotta do what he gotta do. He's a businessman. He had to go a different route. Now, like I said, there is that whole thing where, it's like boxing, it's territorial, but also the whole thing where wrestlers are they being dropped off, quitting, being fired, being thrown out left and right, like football, like boxing, like you're damaged goods. That part sucks, that part is like an ongoing thing, and it'll never be what people want it to be, because it is what it is. It's entertainment as well. So just like when entertainment and competition meet, forget it. It's like a freaking factory, forget it. It's just turns brutal. And that's what that documentary made me think of. It's like, damn, this thing is so brutal. The outcome, the results, human lives, people, working their whole lives, their whole careers to be great, to be phenomenal, to have a future and, a getaway and stuff like that. But yeah, the whole Vince McMahon thing, that like Vince McMahon, that guy he's on his own planet. Like the way he thinks, he's just a different person. But he had to do what he had to do. He turned face and said, nope, this works for me, this doesn't. I can't. I tried. That's it. Now, in the documentary, you can tell that he tried. Of course he knew. There's no way that he didn't know. There's no way. And you will see it if you watch the documentary. There's no way that Vince McMahon didn't know what happened. So the first night on Monday Night Raw, the first thing they do is they pop out a bunch of people that speak good about Benoit. The second night, he's like, being that, you know, his actions were deliberate and he meant to do it, we can't co-sign that. No, thank you. We're moving on. We're not gonna mention his name. That's it. And that's how it is in the wrestling business. You can barely talk about him, and that's what was said in the documentary too. Now, when it came to our friends, you know, the wrestling fans and stuff, we still talked about him. I didn't. I watched his matches, but I didn't, you know, search him, and I didn't like think about him because I felt the same way. Now, to be honest with you, Benoit, I always thought he was a phenomenal wrestler. Now, looking into why I see so many people want to see this documentary, understanding why so many people love him and miss his wrestling style, not too much of his, you know, personal life, but his in-ring skills. I could definitely see why, because the thing is, once I started understanding why people wanted to like really see what happened with him, because, you know, there's the conspiracy aspect, and then there's the, you know, what happened, like what was it that really happened. You know, there's some people that are really concerned like that. Benoit is one of those guys that you can't duplicate what he used to do. You can't create another Benoit. You can create another version of him, and even still it wouldn't work out, because obviously with the last things that he did in his life, it's gonna cause you to think about that. So then you can't make another version of him. Like, there's been spoofs about Macho Man. You know, there was a hip hop song not too long ago from Offset. You know, he called it Ric Flair Drip. You know, he's talking about being Ric Flair and, you know, being fly or whatever. People reinvent things like that. They reinvent, you know, a different version of the Undertaker. You cannot reinvent Chris Benoit. For one, of course, because of what he did, of course. But number two, because you cannot duplicate what that man used to do. The things that he used to do is, you can't. He's a full timer. Like, he really, really was about that. He was about that life, and he took it to the edge. So I don't want to keep going too long about this, because I would prefer that you go watch the documentary. I think the documentary was super dope. It does deserve praise. The guys that put it together deserve praise, and, you know, Chris Jericho, man, you really pulled it together. You did a lot of pulling in this. Like, you made, if it weren't for him, obviously everybody involved, you know, but Chris Jericho's, you know, it's really, he's the one that deserves props for this, for real. They're all heroes, obviously, and big shout out to Chris Jericho and Chavo Guerrero. Chavo Guerrero too, man. Like, there was some things that he had to do in that documentary that he had to say. You know, they're all heroes, but like, those two guys, not because they wrestled or whatever, but because of the things that they did the right thing when all that was going on. They never lost themselves to a point where they forgot about family and tradition and taking care of people, making sure that his friends and family that they love were taken care of. So that's why you put together something like this, so the fans themselves can have closure, because that's basically what it comes down to. You gotta watch the documentary so you can understand, but closure is sometimes never met with some of these wrestlers. They just wither away, or, you know, they wind up doing drugs, or they look terrible. They're, you know, they're seen somewhere, you know, signing autographs, looking sad, And it's for real, man. This really happens. People can't believe it. They think it's fake. They literally cannot believe it. I mean, it wasn't until I started to run across people, and when I was younger, I used to make fun of it. You know, like me and my buddy used to make fun of this guy. Not he didn't make fun of him, but we pretended that he was one of the wrestlers, and it was funny because one of the wrestlers had stopped being on TV. Like he was no longer wrestling. Like nobody knew where he was, but he was the hottest at that time. The wrestler's name was Ahmed Johnson. So we were in the freaking supermarket, and we saw some black dude, chucking meat and bringing in the meat to the supermarket and stuff. And he looked big and strong, the same kind of mustache. It's like, psst, look at Ahmed Johnson right here. So we would just laugh like, this dude is a beast. Like, what is he doing working at a supermarket? But later on in life, you actually start to see it. If you go around, bro, like if you really go into these Comic-Con type of scenarios, or you go to shopping centers, there's places here in Vegas where you'll see big time legends, crucial, strong legends. They're out there signing autographs, man. There's nothing wrong with it, but like some people just don't understand the magnitude that these people were, like, they were so famous. Some people just can't understand how the hell they're in that situation, and some people don't understand how famous they were as well. And to see them in that situation, it's like, wow, holy crap. Sometimes all it takes is one more little situation where you get another concussion, you get hit, something happens, boom, 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 and it takes that one little moment, and all of a sudden you're Chris Benoit, or you do something where it's just god awful. In the documentary, they do talk about, if Chris would have just did it, killed himself or whatever, he probably would have been better off with his career. You know what I'm saying? He would have, like, people would have just loved him. There would have been so much more to talk about. But, how many wrestlers have done that, have gone that route, or have been close because they didn't, they stopped wrestling, or they got a phone call or whatever, like something told them to not go that route. So it is what it is, and we will live with it. This is life. This is how it is. Obviously, the story itself is compelling. Nothing like it. And I hope you guys enjoyed the review. So if you don't know my channel, I usually talk about boxing. But when this thing comes to be a full working oiled machine, I will be covering wrestling on this channel. So stay tuned, subscribe, like, comment, share. You already know. It's your boy Rex Righteous. Peace out.